Hi, and welcome to the second part of this painting, second part of the process. So what happened here is I painted the rose and I didn't record the video. Probably my camera stopped after 20 minutes. So I just want to explain a little bit of my process here and just reassure you that I did paint one of these roses in painting one, and I'll probably do it again after this painting. So this won't be the only one that I do, and you will see me finishing other roses as well. But as you can see, here is just a little bit of the Natural Crimson paint. I actually used the basics, Liquitex basics, for this specific color just because of the way it applies to the painting. And then just take impasto on a paintbrush and just line it. So that's the best way I can describe it. It's not even a painting, it's more drawing on the rose with a little bit of red in circular movements. Right, you can also see I added to that red flower at the top, and I even add a little bit of red on the purple flower. And what I also did was take the paint dropper of the deep violet and I drew back the lines over everything here. So that's just the little part that I didn't film, that I just want to explain to you. Well, the good news is there's a lot that I did film and the glitches were kept to a minimum. And there's always glitches in a big project like this. So again, the whole idea is to work in layers and to be able to layer paint and colors, and that's what gives it such a fascinating look. What I did there was just to drop some of the deep violet ink, and this is what makes this painting especially beautiful to me, is this lovely purple background. So I'm taking a big flat brush and I'm just going to paint some of the purple in like a background, and then I'm going to wash some of it as well. So I love these soft flat brushes. I think these ones, the one I'm painting with now is from Arthur Stewart, and I've had them quite a bit for a long time. So I'm very careful when I paint the background back, and I want to leave that sliver of a border around the leaves and the flowers wherever I can, because that just tells me that there's light. So I don't know, it's just a personal preference, and it's something that I've always been doing. And then you just want to start painting the background, and the moment that you add a little water to your paintbrush is when the magic truly happens. Look how lovely that is. And I love the washes, and I love it when it dries and you can see the paint markings and the paint and the water drops, you know. So that to me is just one of my absolute favorite things ever. So I'm just careful, because you can probably paint over the hooker green there, but in the end you want to keep your colors as clean as you possibly can. So I probably should be using a smaller brush at this point, but as you know me, I'm inherently lazy and I don't always want to do it as I should. Again, just cleaning my brush, and then there you go. And this is really beautiful to me. I think that's another part I didn't film quite properly, is just adding the greens to this painting. But luckily there's a couple more paintings that I'm going to be painting that I will show the whole process. So even if I missed a couple of steps here, I think you'll forgive me. I hope so. So yeah, just painting, and you can see how this is really now a wash that I'm painting. And that's the one thing that I love about the inks, is that it can act like watercolors a lot of the time. Love that purple. Don't you think it's lovely? The deep violet for the win. I honestly think that when it dried, as you can see here, it's even more pretty. And I love how the water dried, and I'm just so happy. Okay, so now what I want to do, again a lazy hack, is my flower pot, I wanted a very small texture on it. And then I decided to use the scrapbook paper, and I'm just going to trace loosely around the images that's on the page, and I want to cut it out and stick it down with Mod Podge, and then I'm going to paint over it so that it looks like I painted the pattern on, but I didn't. I know, right? It's totally cheating. But luckily there's no handbook that says, I'm not allowed to do it. So I'm just fuzzy cutting this out. It's no way neat or perfect at all, but you'll see in a moment the difference it makes. And I really love this, and I decided to use the same piece of paper on all the paintings with vases, which is I think 3. I did half and half, like a real Canadian. And so I'm just cutting it out. I love these scissors. Yeah, so this takes a little bit of time, but it's actually a very quick hack and a very simple way to just add something interesting to your painting. So there you can see they fit around the flowers, and I made them a little smaller than the lines. I did want the vase outline to show. So now I'm just going to use a little bit of Mod Podge, and I'm just going to add it to my canvas. And then I'm going to stick down the paper and I'm going to paint over it. The Mod Podge does clear dry, so you won't even see it. And I will be painting around the edges of the vase, so you won't even really know that it's a piece of paper stuck down unless you look very closely. I bet you didn't even know when you look at the photos, so I hope you don't. If you did notice it, don't tell me. I want to live in a world of ignorant bliss. Okay, so now I'm just going to use some parchment paint and white paint, and I'm just going to paint a little bit of impasto back on the vase. And this is something that I'm going to do on all the vases, So, and that's just to cover the edges and to just integrate the paper into the canvas. Right, so now I'm back to the doodle part of my page, and I'm using this mixture of vivid lime green, white, and a tiny bit of yellow, and I'm just painting on the leaves. So I'm using a very small brush. It's probably a size 1 or a 2 watercolor brush, and I want you to practice doing this, but also with variable wine, not wine, people. Maybe I need a little wine. Line widths. So, you can see that the line width is not the same. And that's one thing that's really gives it a very artistic quality, is just to vary the depth, the width of the lines. And it just makes it interesting. It's also a good exercise in seeing how many textures you can come up with, because it's hard to think of new textures and line making and mark makings, but it's very good exercise in doing that. So I'm just outlining some of the leaves, putting in a little bit of definition, So, and again, that doodling part is my favorite part of the paintings. You can also see how the vase is totally integrated into the painting with the white and parchment paint that I used. And that's exactly what I wanted. I just wanted it to look painted on and not stuck on like with a piece of paper. And now I'm just painting a little more details over the leaves. And honestly, this is the best part of the painting, is when you can just doodle and you can just enjoy the process. It's very meditative. So when I was painting these paintings, I was listening to an audiobook, and I find it very, very relaxing to work and to listen to an audiobook. The book I was listening to was Where the Crawdads Sing, and it's the most beautiful audiobook I've ever listened to. It's just amazing, beautiful story, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. So the Crawdads, Where the Crawdads Sing. It's such a beautiful book. Okay, so I'm using the lime green in a few places, and then I'm going to switch to a different color. So this is phthalo cyanine green. We just call it phthalo green or phthalo blue. But the phthalo blue is a beautiful color, but I love the green as well. It has a blue tone to it. You can see there the bottle that I'm holding, and now I'm just going to draw a little bit of detail back on the leaf with this beautiful green color and a very fine point brush. You can see there, it's probably a size 1 watercolor brush that I'm using. And so this is basically what I do, is I put detail on the light parts with dark color and on the dark parts with light color. And again, trying to vary the line width, and the line quality is such a good exercise, in drawing, as a rule. So I'm just using it straight out of the bottle. A little tip that I want to give you right now is, when you use inks and you put the lids back on, the little drippers, make sure that you tighten them properly. It's happened multiple times that I knock over a bottle of ink, and luckily I'm in a habit of tightening my lids really well, so that when you knock them over, you don't spill a whole bunch of ink. So don't just put them on, just tighten them. And then also at the end of the day, when I'm done painting, I feel every single lid to make sure it's tightened properly. And I also feel every single tube of paint to make sure it's tightened properly. Now I'm filling in with white, and you can see how the colors flow, almost like watercolors. And I love that soft green that's happening there. Again, the variable width of the lines, and just painting in the details is so much fun here. Right, so now I'm taking the paint dropper of the deep violet and I'm just drawing on the flower itself, just drawing back a few little details. And this takes a little bit of practice just to to draw with those drippers and to know how much paint to squeeze out, because if you squeeze it out too much, it will just make a blob of paint. So that's just a little bit of advice there. And then lastly, I did paint a little bit of solid color back on the bottom. You can see the shininess of the paint. And then a little bit just underneath the flowers above the horizon line. And now I'm just going to add a tiny bit of gold into that dahlia there. And this is honestly just here and there. It's not going to be too much. And again, when you turn the painting sideways at an angle, you can see the shininess of it, which is really nice. The Liquitex inks makes a really cool gold color, and it's nice and liquidy, so it's easy to paint on. And that's just a little tip as well, is to just get the inks. If you only have cash flow for one gold, I would suggest that you get the ink and not the paint. And there you can see the painting is done. I did add a few white splatters to the top of the painting. And yeah, what a fun painting this is. So I will see you in the next video where we'll be making this painting. And I will narrate this step by step for you as well. Bye.